Welcome back to another episode of Moms Moving On. We are venturing forth today. I have the author of Venturing Forth, a beautiful mom who has been through the divorce process. She has relocated her life. She's got amazing stories, which she writes about and shares on her website. We have Sheen with us today, and we are going to be talking all about her journey and how you yourself can find a greater life after divorce, especially when you start dating.
Oh, perfect. First of all, Michelle, thank you for having me. It is truly an honor and delight to be here with you.
Well, I love these conversations and I'm excited to learn more about you. And I think just from what I've gathered already, you are on an adventure in your life and you are excited to take people alongside you on that adventure.
Absolutely. Long story tell short is I am also a single parent myself since 2020. And just like many of the single parents before getting divorced, um I was in this mode that I'm not sure what to do. I'm not really confident about if I can handle my journey ahead of me. So, of course, after I'm so glad that that happened, even though the life was a little bit tough when that happening. And it happens in 2020. So ever since I was divorced, I dedicated my work helping with the single parent community because I know how difficult that is,
Hmm.
especially when that happens in my life. I was in Barcelona. 2020 was the COVID year.
Yes.
So it was the year that I just moved to a new country with my two kids and my ex-husband, and I have no friends. Of course, little to say that I don't even have a bank account at that time. I don't even have a job. So, and we had this lockdown. So I would really think it was a very lost time for me. And I'm glad that during that time I was able to speak to one of the single parents, which was my friend in college. So I was telling her what was going on inside of me for many years, but I just didn't have the courage to move forward. I knew that voice was inside of me that I wanted to go because the dialogue inside me is always like, is this the life that I want? Is this the life that I'm going to have in the
That's
future?
it's such a powerful question. And I feel like that question is often like, at least for moms, it's like, how dare I ask myself this question when I should just be worried about taking care of my kids and making sure that they have what they need? And I don't know about how it felt for you in your life, but I know for so many women that I work with and speak to, it's like this sense of shame around even questioning if what you have is enough, because you should just, be grateful and just live your life,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Especially if I think about myself coming from an Asian community. So being a single mother or wanting to be a single mother, it's just something that you have to feel like come out of closet,
Right. Like,
because
how dare you harbor this
exact
secret?
and actually that was one of the reasons. Of course, I like Barcelona, but I also told myself I needed to go to Barcelona to be myself. I wanted to handle this myself without any other noises. I don't want cultural noise. I don't want my families to tell me what to do. It was a very, very important time of my life to be alone and handle this like gracefully. But of course, throughout that time, I still have a lot of doubts
Hmm.
of what I needed to do. So I'm so glad that I took the first step to get help from a single parent mother. And it's really
Yeah.
nice that you talk about like you should be grateful and all that because you have a children's, you have a life in Barcelona. That was exactly what was going on in my head. Is like I should be just why am I the one that was breaking my family apart? Am I going to be that one? And I will always remember my friend told me that I always have to take care of myself first because only if I am fine, only if I am well, so that I am full cup, that I can take care of the people that I love, such as my children and my family, my work, my new life, you know?
Yeah. And it's amazing. We come from like a society of like, be selfless and take care of your kids. But then how dare you feel burnt out and not give your kids the best of you? And it's such a double standard that it seems you really figured out.
Exactly. I always remember that she was telling me that just like on the airplane, if there's some emergency landing, they always tell you to wear the mask yourself first before you put on other
Absolutely.
people's masks. And it was the same thing. And that really gave me so much courage to cross that bridge. That was exactly why the cover of my book is a bridge, because that was exactly how I feel that okay, even though I don't know what's ahead of me, but I know that I'm ready to cross that bridge because I am burned out. And this is not the life I wanted.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that word courage because you said something in the beginning about finding the courage to divorce, but it
Mhm.
sounds to me like you did many courageous things before you found the courage to divorce, which was, like you said, the family culture, in so many communities, you're from the Asian community, but I speak to women from all backgrounds, whether they're
Mhm.
from um, the Indian community or from a Latin American community. Divorce is taboo. The more deeply rooted your culture is, the more taboo divorce is. And I feel like the most courageous part of all of this for you was probably having to step aside from the family that you felt supported by for so long and say, you know what, this is my life and I need to do what I need to do because so many people stay stuck because of what their families tell them or the way in which their families brought them up. So I think for you, like there were so many levels of courage before you got to the bridge.
Yeah, thank you. The thing is when you are in that situations, you didn't feel courage. You just feel like you just feel really burned out.
Yeah.
I mean, for me to look back right now, of course, just have the fact that talk to my ex-husband that I'm ready to move on. Let's go co-parenting the kids to Barcelona, start a new life. I think right now it sounds amazing to me that I have done that. But at that
Good.
point, you just feel like
You should look back and be amazed.
but at that point you just feel like no, I'm not done yet because you still feel like you're still in the mess, you know, so you didn't feel courage at all. And I think the last thing of what a lot of parents want to do is to impact their kids, so you just have no idea, or I just have no idea what kind of future I'm going to put my kids to, you know.
I think nobody knows. And, there's this belief that like divorce will mess up the children. So if we stay married, our kids won't be messed up in any way, shape, or form. But I mean, I've studied this for years and I know that like you cannot prevent your children from being negatively affected by their life. Like you can't. Like they are going to get to adulthood and something will have impacted them in a negative way and they're going to
Mm-hmm.
need to reconcile that with you in some way, shape, or form, regardless of how right you do things, regardless of your marital status. And I think, giving up this idea that we have to only do things a certain way or avoid doing certain things in the event that it upsets our children or messes them up, we're
Mm-hmm.
kind of we might be creating a self-fulfilling prophecy a bit because we don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be something at some point.
Exactly. I would say that it's an adventure, right? But it's just when you're in that situation, you just overthinking. But at the end, when I am thinking back right now, I would always tell people that your kids may not understand at that point. Maybe they were too young, but with the communication, you can get through if they're a little bit older. But at the end of the day, your kids want you to be happy, just like how you want them to be happy, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And the most important thing is it's better to have a happy mother and a happy father, both parents are present, than a miserable family together, you know.
Amen. I mean, this is initially how I started my career in this space was I had many, many years ago put up a post on social media that said your children deserve a happy mom, not a married mom. And people were
Hmm.
like, "Whoa, yes." And it was like, "Oh my God, like how come no one ever thought of that?" I was so happy to have shared that thought because I felt like it was going to upset a lot of people, but it's the truth. I mean, what good is a married parent if they are not happy and fully living in their truth? What does that teach our children? So anyway, so you made this bold, brave choice and take us through that.
So Barcelona, we came, COVID happened immediately after COVID lockdown over. So I started to look for a new place. I was ready to go because I guess during the COVID there are a lot of things going on
Mhm.
for for many people in the world. It's not just for me. So
The
it's just a
divorce rate
click.
skyrocketed at that point.
Can you imagine
Yeah.
that? So I moved out literally 2 weeks to 3 weeks after the COVID. I was really lucky that I found an apartment uh, with a co-signer that would help me as a new person in the country. So I think somewhere in this dark place, there's always light, there's always an angel there.
There is, if you have that mindset though. Like not
Yeah,
everybody has that mindset, and I think that's part of the magic.
it's positivity. But again, it goes back to, are you ready to do it? Are you going to put yourself into a place where you are willing to open the door, where there's opportunity in front of you? Are you going to stuck here and then just looping around for years and years and years and unhappy? And again, you mentioned it. Your kids are going, when the same thing happens to your kids, you cannot avoid this thing is going to happen to your kids or not in the future. But what is going to happen is when that happened to your kids, they are going to look back. That's what my mom did. She stayed in it. She stayed in an unhappy marriage. But no, I think it's very important that you model yourself that no, you need to take care of your life. This is your life. If this is not working, then you have to change.
Hmm.
And if there are more doors in front of you, be more open minded. Just go for it. You just never know what's in front of you. And look at it right now, 4 years later. Of course, it was really tough the beginning, the moving out. It was the custody agreement. It was never, I don't want to sugarcoat it. You have to work with your children. You always have to work with your ex-partner. It's a journey to get to where I am today. But if you think about it right now, it really piloted me through. I wrote a book to help the single parenting community. I started up a website, and I was able to tell myself that no, I wanted to get training to be certified. So actually, the journey after that was amazing. And in my book, I talk about my dating too.
Yeah, I can't wait
So
to get into that
so
because
it's fun.
yeah, and inevitably once, life is a journey, and so you take that step to venture forth, like your book is titled, and then you do that. You look back, like you said, and you realize, oh my God, I did the hard thing. I'm so brave. I'm so courageous. But now what's next? And what's next is, I mean, we're all biologically wired to want to find companionship and partnership and love. But how do we
Right.
really now give ourselves the permission and also balance dating with single motherhood? Because that in itself is really, really tough.
It is tough. So when we talk about balance for dating balance for single parents, the informations I'm going to share is a lot of it is from my personal experience, and some of it is from what I learned from my single parents community.
Hmm.
And many of these I'm still practicing myself, but I will group them into three pillars. The first one is embracing your pace, because there's no right timing to when you start dating as a single parent, but everybody has their own journey, right?
I love that you're saying that because there are so many people that have this mindset of like they have to wait a specific amount of time or 6 months, or they get advice from I don't know where, and it's like they've put themselves into this box that may or may not fit their needs.
Right. I think yourself will tell you when are you ready or when you're not. But I think the most important thing that I will pinpoint out is the beginning of the stage is the phase is very important to prioritize your well-being, because it's
Hmm.
really energy draining during the divorcing process.
Hmm.
So it's nice and it's a must-have to put yourself front and center. And what I really mean is embracing your solitude, self-care. These are the two things that has to come first, because these are the two things, if you do it well, will set the tone for your dating balance in the future.
That's so
And
true. It's like priming, like being priming yourself to be ready. You can't just like wake up one day and say, okay, here I am, let's do it. But you have to have certain things in order so that it'll all work.
Exactly, exactly. And I think when you're taking care of yourself, like we just mentioned 10 minutes ago, it's not selfish, it's necessary. You have to put yourself front and center so that when your cup is full, then you will really feel ready that you're able to give more care and love to other people that are around you, including dating, right?
Hmm.
And with to do that, you have to be in the solitude. You have to be alone for a little bit, you know, and this is going to be the foundations of that I said. So when you're able to embrace that solitude energy, so what I really mean to take your time, give your new family dynamic time to adjust. You need time. Your children needs time. So it's not worth to jump into the relationship right away because it will just create confusions for you, create anxiety probably for your children's. Give yourself a little bit time to get out of that zone, you know? So
Hmm.
it's important. And second, I would say is give yourself time to heal. You need time to heal, regardless of what was happening in your previous marriage. You have to know that you need to acknowledge your feelings, whether it was involved with grief, blaming, or confusions, but you needed to take care of that emotional baggage and ask yourself that questions like, are you still attached to the old story? Are you still attached to the blame? Do you
Mm.
still have that insecurity? Have you grieved through the loss? You know, you just don't want it to bring that old problem into this new situations, you know?
For sure. I think self-awareness is the key, but I think we've now moved into an era, on social media where everything is all about healing and we need to heal and we need to heal. But what actually is that? And is there a such thing as fully healed? And I tell my clients all the time, it's not being fully healed that's going to make you ready. Like we all carry scars with us from all sorts of things,
Right.
our childhood, past relationships, but it's that self-awareness to say in our new relationship, I know that this is a trigger for me, or I know that I'm going to react in this way and it's not you, it's me. I think, we have to be so careful in this era of like, heal before you, bleed out onto other people. No, you're never going to be fully healed. Don't aspire to that. Be healing, be aware of the process.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. You have to, I think when you are more aware of that, then you know how to manage that.
Exactly. Exactly. Like I can't help, my nobody can help their past traumas, right? Like they can't
Right.
erase those from their memory. But if they know that because of those traumas, they may have more of an anxious attachment style in a relationship, then at least they have the
Mm-hmm.
awareness and can explain that to their partner without
Right.
just expecting their partner to figure them out and fix all their problems.
Exactly, exactly. And especially if you know, for example, if you know the problems, you know your trigger. So when the trigger happens, you're more aware of it to say, okay, I need a timeout or I need a
Yes,
pause or how do I manage that? So I do agree with you. The whole point here is not completely healed because everybody do carry some kind of scar with them, not just in the marriage, maybe in the childhood trauma too.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's essentially what leads us to our first marriages, right? It's like all that childhood
Yeah.
stuff that is unresolved for sure. So how did you find, so you were a single mother in a new country with two kids. How did you
Mm-hmm.
find like the time? How did you make the time to date? And how old were your kids when you started?
I started dating 6 months to 9 months after separating with my ex-husband. So the upsides about being a single mother now is there's a custody share time. So there were times that my kids are with the father. So that's pretty much my own time. So that
That's
would
your
be the
time to
time.
shine, baby.
Of course, that's the time you start to go out and social. So I live in Barcelona, so there's a lot of diversity of activities that I can join to the hiking groups. And you also have to embrace the new era because before I was married, we were in this time that we meet people organically. But now we're in the era that you have to test yourself with online dating.
Yeah.
You have to use different platforms. So I have to really get used to that for a little bit. Just explore a little bit different apps, maybe get out to a social groups, um, meet friends. So, but the time that I don't have children's are the time that I used to meet people and start dating. These are the time.
Good. And I'm glad that you've given yourself permission to do that because I feel like there is also this idea that if we are living this life outside of our time with our kids, we're being
Hmm.
scandalous. But are we? I mean, I don't think so.
No, and I think funny is that it's not funny, but what I did was, of course, after I finished my marriage, during the separation period, I felt that I wasn't really ready to get into any serious relationship immediately. But I do acknowledge myself that I wanted to have some kind of quality time with somebody, to have some physicality, have some intimacy, but I do not want to have a long-term commitment at that point yet. You know,
Hmm.
I knew that I was not ready. So I was in a casual relationship for a while. And of course, when people hear about casual relationship, they immediately jumped to it's negative, it's it's dangerous. But I think what's dangerous is you didn't take time to know yourself, to reevaluate your values, your goals, and then you immediately jump to a new relationship and say, I'm ready to. I think that's more dangerous to me.
That is the ultimate danger in dating after divorce is taking all that unhealed stuff and moving it into the next situation. And that's where we repeat those patterns. So how can your book, Venturing Forth, help somebody who is now ready to date after divorce?
Um, I would say be open mind and explore like a scientist, you know, because back in the days, maybe you carry some kind of, at least for me, you carry some kind of checklist of this person that you're looking for. But after divorce, I guess age is also an issue, and experience also bring me to this point that, hey, I'm just gonna be out there and open myself up with different preferences and different way of meeting people. So in the venturing forth, I mentioned three key dating stories I have. And the first one was with this artist, Catalan artist. It was just fresh out of my marriage. So I didn't want to commit something very serious. But
Hmm.
I do wanted to, like I said, I wanted to have fun. And artist was not really a category of people that I used to date. But
Right,
it
because it
was
wasn't the good on paper guy. It was,
right.
yeah,
And I'm sorry I was wrong, but it was just a false assumption that I always carry with myself that they're not stable.
yeah,
But they are, you know, but you know, I cannot generalize this, but that was kind of the mentality I have back then. So artists would definitely not one of the category of people, but I am so glad that I opened myself up, get into it, and I got a new experience. I was able to get involved with his performance. It was just something I never had before. It was short, but it was sweet. You know, he was treating me very nice. And he also understand my situation. So it wasn't really kind of a situation that he asked me, when can we meet? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? He just completely understand my situation.
right. That had to be really nice to not have to justify to somebody why you were with your kids and not them. I know that can be very challenging for some people, but I love that this first experience not only gave you that, but also challenged a little bit of your preconceived notions, right? Like we all have that. We're all raised in families that tell you your ideal spouse has to meet this criteria or else, and then your spouse meets that criteria and they're not ideal for you. So it's like, what now?
Exactly. And also in the casual relationships, I stay in this. Of course, casual relationships not necessarily just mean one night stands. It can range from one night stands all the way to the other side, such as lover or friends with benefits. There's a lot of things going on. It really depending on the quality of the relationship with that person and your emotional attachment with that person. But on the fortunate side, I do meet people that are genuinely really nice to me, and we
Hmm.
have very nice conversations. And during the time of my custody agreement or the time that I just wanted to enjoy some physicality, I do meet the people like this into my life. Of course, there's some elimination that you have to do. It's not all sweet, you know. So
Right, right.
you do have to set boundaries. So
Hmm.
when you meet people that disrespectful, lack of manners, that's why solitude is very important, because you learn to take care of yourself. So you're just not going to accept anybody come into your life. When you get mistreated, you're going to say, no, this is not for me. You're not just going to say, I want to fall in love quickly. It doesn't work that way. But then I also have the experience that I dated somebody and it feels like, wow, the connection was really nice. I really enjoy, maybe we can date a little bit more. But then somewhere after 1 month, you had a conversation, say, hey, I don't think the timing is right for both of us.
Hmm.
And, of course, it's easier to let somebody go if you just had a 2 hours conversations, have a coffee date. But then after 1 month of exchange, it's harder to let that person go, especially you feel that that was the right person. So
Yeah.
I, you kind of train yourself how to let go as well.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And I love how much you talk about embracing the solitude, because I find I never knew how to be by myself. Like I was always I could never just sit alone at home with myself, even in my relationships. And I was probably someone who was the most scared to be alone after a divorce, and found that that alone time, like to this day, like I am so grateful for it. I crave it. I remember the feeling of what it was like to just like be in my space unapologetically and do whatever I want to do. And yeah,
Yeah.
and you're right. That's when you decide, is this next step into dating going to lead me to just not being alone, or is it going to be with somebody who can bring value to it, someone who's better than the beauty of solitude?
Exactly. And if you started embracing alone time and solitude when you started getting into dating, which is the balance here, is you start reevaluating what's important to you, because what was important to you back then may not be important to you today.
Oh, for
And
sure.
back then, you may have that script saying that after 3 dates, we should do XYZ. Maybe after 6 months, we consider moving in. I don't know. Back in the day, you probably have that script. But today, because I love the solitude, the alone time, because that's the time I do my personal development growth and do my own thing. Then I came to a point thinking, I'm not really sure if I do actually want to move in anymore. Maybe
Hmm.
you should have your own place. I should have my own place,
Yes.
but let's get together and have time whenever we can. And there's no set time that we should meet once a week or twice a week. It's really just naturally go with the flow, because single parents are busy and
Yeah.
we do have many things that we needed to do to get our life done. So there's no fixed schedules and there's no moving in. I always feel like I don't think that I will want to move in, even if that day comes, it will take a whole lot of journey to have that day comes, because being alone is just precious.
Yeah. That's something I remember like feeling so strongly about. Was I finally got comfortable alone when I met my
Hmm.
now husband. And when it came time for us to all move in together, my daughter and I, and him and his daughter, like the day I was leaving my space that I lived in post divorce, I had this little townhouse that my daughter and I lived in, and it just felt so freeing and amazing. Like that was tough for me, even though I was moving forward into a beautiful new life. It was still like, wow, this was such a sacred part of my time in which I got
Hmm.
to connect with myself again and be the mom I wanted to be, and live in this space of just me making all the rules. Like that was really special. So I can see where so many people after divorce are like, no, like I'm not giving that part up again. I'm keeping that for myself. That's important too.
Yes, you made time for the date, but you also make time, actually, in fact, more time for yourself
Yeah.
at this moment, because freedom doesn't come that easy after divorce. I mean,
No.
freedom during the marriage, because you're always together, you're always doing the family things together, and now your hard-earned freedom is back. You
Hmm.
wanted to take very good care of that, but that really doesn't mean that you don't want to date. So what I always say is, when you're dating now, I focus more on quality rather than quantity. So, like I mentioned, it's not how many time I'm going to see you per week. It's not about 6 hours or full day. It's really about just, hey, when I am with you, I'm going to give you 100% of my attentions. It could be 1 hour, 2 hours, but you have a 100% of me when I am with you. And it's same as when I am with my kids. I'm going to give them 100% because I am with my kids and work as well. So when we go back to say how to balance, I would always think it's counterbalancing because
Yeah.
you always need to give 100% of the thing that you're doing to have the best quality,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So it's the same for dating if you decided to hang out with somebody. Even if it's just 1 hour quality time, it's better than 4 hours and both of you are not so focused on each other, you know?
It is all about how you're made to feel in that time. I'd rather
Mhm.
spend one amazing hour with somebody than a week where I'm feeling like unsure about our connection, or do they really care about me, or is this what I really want? That is such a great point you bring up. Well, I am for sure certain that your book is full of great points for anybody embarking on this journey. And you also have your website, which is really beautiful and offers a lot of information. So, who would be like the ideal person to check out your work and Nanani World and your book? Like, where would this person be at in their life?
If you're in the positions of your life that you're not sure what to do, but you wanted to create a better balance of your life, you can go to my website. It offers holistic wellness information of how to build a better mental wellness, how to build a better physical wellness, social wellness, and more. And because personally, I love travel. This is just part of me also. So I offers a lot of travel tips with or without the kids also, but it's more on the sustainability point of views. So the people who just wanted to open the door, just like I say, experiment life,
Hmm.
share my experience. Uh, you can pick up my book, you can go to my website. And my whole goal is to just to tell you that everything is going to be okay after divorce. Just get on the journey and have fun. I won't sugarcoat that everything is going to be just easy and breezy, but it will be a very nice journey that when you look back, you're just going to be so glad that you hands-on take care of your life. You manage your life the way you did, instead of just let life handle you.
I love that. I think that is such key advice. If nothing else, like, yes, just know that you're going to be okay, one foot in front of the other, and life is going to take you where you're meant to be. Well, thank you so much for being here with us. I hope you're as proud of yourself as I know all of us listening are. There's so much that you've done in such a short period of time that I think is so impressive. We will, of course, link the book, the website, and all the ways in which you can get in touch with Sheen. And we hope to see you next time on Moms Moving On. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Michelle, for having me.
Of course, best of luck. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.